Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today I want to talk about Fire Emblem Cipher. You guys should play this game, it's pretty awesome. There's tons of resources online that make it super easy to get into. And on top of that, there is a whole Discord community that is just devoted to this game and is very happy to help people learn how to play it and just to get started. They hold tournaments and all that sorts of stuff, and even amateur tournaments where you have a coach and everything to help you get started. Really, really fun stuff. I personally have really fallen in love with this game. And I think the coolest aspect of this game is building your own decks. Building your decks using characters that you love. Fire Emblem Cipher has a card for just about every character in every playable character in Fire Emblem history. There are of course some that didn't make it in time before the game was canceled, but there's still thousands and thousands of them. Thousands of cards for you to pick from. And characters, chances are your favorite characters in here. I think in particular there's a lot of Thracia characters that didn't make it in. But again, chances are your favorite characters in here. Just scrolling through this quickly. There's so many characters down here. So many characters down here, man. So many characters. There's so many. So really, you can make a deck surrounding just about anybody. The only requisite to have a deck be centered around someone or make them your main character, meaning they are always on the field, is that they have a cost 1 card. Meaning up in the right, the top left corner of the card, it has a little 1 that has that. That means they can be your main character. And you can find some amount of success with just about anybody. So, I thought it would be fun if I just sat here and shared some of my favorite decks with you just to show how cool I think this game is, at least, and how much I love it at this point. So I want to show you some of my favorites that I've made so far. And this is all in Lackey CCG. So if you download Lackey CCG, just Google it. There is a Cipher plugin as well that you can find on Serenus Forest, or you can find it in the Cipher Discord, which I'll post in the description of this video. You can click the link and go to that. There is a plugin that makes it so all the cards are here and you can get all the information in English, and you can play with other people who also have the same plugin. So I've been playing with my friends quite often, actually, and it's been a lot of fun. And I think it's worth checking out if you are a big Fire Emblem fan, which I assume most people who are subscribed to this channel are. So, let's talk about some of my favorite decks. I really love my Olwen deck. Well, this is one of the first decks that I really put together and was actually pretty proud of. So my main character, again, is Olwen, and by main character I mean she's always on the field. If Olwen loses in combat 6 times, and there's ways to subvert it in different situations, but essentially if you lose in combat 6 times, you lose the game with Olwen. So if Olwen dies 6 times, I lose. But she never leaves the field. So this deck is all centered around buffing Olwen and also just buffing other units around her to either field wipe, so kill all the opposing enemies on the other side, or just have a high enough stat to survive enemy phase and just be able to turn by turn whittle down the opponent's main character's orb count, or just their HP essentially. So to do this, I have Fred, this is probably one of the only decks that Fred is actually going to work in successfully, just because he's so specific. Because one of his skills, skill 2, is the important one. If this unit is in the same area as an allied Olwen, this unit and allied Olwen gain plus 20 attack. So basically, when he's on the field in the same area, front or back line, him and Olwen just get a flat plus 20, which is huge. So that makes him base 80, and base 80 is usually enough to kill just about anything in the game. 70 is pretty baseline for the higher, more powerful cards. So if you can get above 70, you're doing pretty well. So this gets both Fred and Olwen over 80, which is really awesome. And also Fred has some extra utility where I can flip a bond and give him 1-2 range, so he can attack backline units and stuff like that, which is cool. But yeah, so just buffs Olwen, buffs Fred. Another fun little addition I have here to buff Olwen a little bit more is Lachesis. During your turn, if you have 3 or more beast allies, all beast allies gain plus 10 attack. And a beast ally is essentially like a cavalier, paladin, Pegasus Knight, people who ride animals in combat. Other than dragons. They don't ride dragons. I don't think dragons count. So you have So in this deck, I have like a Fee, I have Karen. They both have special skills that when they're placed in your bond area, bonds being a cross between like mana in Magic and energy cards in Pokemon, and you can just play any card, any character card in the bond area to use as your mana or your energy. Fee and Karen have special skills that when they're placed there, they can actually deploy themselves from the bond area for free. So you lose a bond when you deploy them, but you get a free unit on the field. So I like placing them in my bond area early, and then when I have Lacus's down and I'm ready to buff everyone by 10, I just deploy one of them or both of them, and I have an easy plus 10 for everybody, which is really fun. On top of that, I have Miranda in this deck, who, again, is kind of a niche unit, but I really like Miranda, and I want to make her work, and she does in this deck. Her cost 1 is less important, but her cost 3/2, or her promotion, if you have 2 or more Beast allies, this unit gains plus 20 attack. So she just gets a flat plus 20 from having other Beast allies, and then if we have Lacus's on the field and and Miranda's skill is activated and Lacus's skill is activated, she'll have a plus 30. So she'll be at 80 as well alongside our Olwen and Fred, who at that point would be at plus 90. Well, I mean, would be at 90, so they'd be at plus 40, which is, I mean, right? Yeah, at that point they'd be at plus 30, so they'd be at 90, which is really just all like piles together, and just you can have a field of really powerful units for relatively cheap. But I think it's pretty fun. On top of that, there is I have a Deirdre and a Lenoan in here, who basically their only purpose in this deck is to make it so you can flip face down bonds face up. Because when you flip a bond face down for the cost of a skill, that bond essentially becomes nothing but points you can use towards deploying units. Becomes colorless, it loses all its attributes, it's just there. But you can flip it face up and make it usable again. So Deirdre and Lenoan both can do that, that's important. So yeah, I love this deck, really fun to put together, and it was a way that I could make one of my favorite characters in the series, Olwen, be really fun to use. Another one of my favorite decks revolves around Ike. So this is the main character, Ike, in this deck. He gets plus 10 when he kills an enemy, so that's cool. But more important than that are his promos. So his main promotion that I have for this deck is Ike, Hero of Radiance and the Sacred Blade, or whatever. Essentially, he gets plus 10 attack for every green ally you have on the field. And green allies are just all the characters from Tellius, from Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance. So he gets plus 10 for every green ally on the field, and if he has more than 100 attack, he can just destroy one non-main character enemy after attacking, which is just insane. It can't be the main character unless there's no other enemies on the field, then it can be the main character. It's really fun to work around and really fun to play with. But to go along with that, I have Ike, Nightmarish Rampaging Hero. So when this card is placed in your support area, which you have to place a card in your support area every time you do combat, he automatically class changes Ike to this card. And this guy, he essentially just wipes out the enemy's field, but he also wipes out your field, and it becomes kind of a race to the finish. And it really ends games quickly, either for good or for bad. And he also has a really high attack stat for that stuff too. It's really fun. So I like playing with that. But to work with both of those, so I can have a lot of allies on the field, I have Azuka, who can just deploy Laguz for just by flipping bonds from your retreat area. But he also buffs those Laguz and gives them plus 20 attack. They lose their skills, but that's less important. It's just really fun to play around with, and so I just have a bunch of Laguz in this deck. Really fun deck. Those are probably my 2 favorite decks I've ever made. I also like my Fur deck, or Fear, however you say it, because it makes good use of Barter. And this is like one of the only times you can use Barter effectively, I think, because his skills require him to be around Fur. And here he is, and I love Barter, so that's fun. I have a Sanaki deck that is all about making the most powerful Ike possible and then switching the main character status to that Ike, which he has a special skill that can do that. I have a Matcha deck, which is kind of kind of a guilty favorite of mine. It's not actually that good, but Matcha or Makuya, as they have her translated here, but it's Matcha in like Project Exile and in Little Manster. Matcha is all about just having a lot of bonds. Once you have 10 bonds, her promotion just has base 80 attack, which is really fun. So yeah, I love Matcha. Again, not like the best deck in the world, but guilty pleasure deck for sure. And there's all sorts of just fun decks you can build. Like this is a silly one here. This is an main character is Inigo, and he gets plus 10 attack for every female ally you have in the back line. So I just put a bunch of cost 1 females in this deck, and I just put them in the back line and just have them buff the low level Inigo, and it's really fun. So yeah, it's just kind of like an example of why I get really excited about Cipher, because there's so much strategy and so much you can do personally. I personally really love the bomb manipulation of like the yellow decks, and I love the class changing aspects of the green deck. So yellow and green are typically my favorite colors to work with, but I have buddies who really like working with white and black, or also like working with purple a lot, or brown, which is Fodlan. There's a lot of really cool stuff to mess around with in Cipher, and I think if people would just give it a chance, they would like it a lot more than they think they do. So please, if you have any interest in this card game, either reach out to me on Discord or go to the Discord link down below to go to the Cipher Cord, and just go to beginner help, and literally you can just say, I'm new, I want to start playing, will someone help me? And I'm sure someone will. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, like the video, and please go check out the second channel. It means a lot, and I'll catch you next time.